Hello everybody and welcome back to Animal Crossing City Folk. Today, I don't overly know what I'm gonna talk about or do. Definitely we're gonna water these things. I kind of want to keep talking about the games industry. But I don't want to just have these turn into just random nobody game developer talks about the games industry for half an hour every day. So I suppose I will talk about something game related. I'm going to talk again about World of Warships. And not anything actually about the game itself, but more of an idea I had for the game that would probably improve it and reduce the amount of grinding that needs to be done. And this idea actually came to me thanks to Azure Lane. Is that a fossil? There is a distinct color difference here. I'm gonna dig it up. Hey, it is a fossil. Colors, man. Oh, jeez. That was... What? Right. What am I doing? No. Shovel? Oh, jeez, that's not the shovel. Well, that works. Or does it? Okay. Shovel equipped. You there. You and you swap. You and you swap. You and you swap. There we go. But the idea came to me while I was playing Azure Lane. Because in that game, as you complete battles, you have a chance of unlocking ships. There's a 50% off sale at Nookington's in like half an hour. And... oh, jeez. There we go. The ships you unlock will often be little common ships, and you'll get them a lot. But there are also a lot of ships in Azure Lane. Well, waifus. They're not ships. They're waifus with guns strapped to them. But, there is quite a few ships in World of Warships, and they could honestly, in my opinion, add a system like that to the game without changing anything. Now, how would they go about doing that? It's simple. And these will just be rough numbers. I wouldn't say to actually have this to be the in-practice numbers. But let's say they give you a 1 in 12 chance of getting a ship after every battle. So in theory, after 12 battles, you will just unlock a ship of, and here's a caveat, 1 tier above or equal to the tier you're currently in for a ship. That way people don't end up getting like a tier 10 off of their tier 1 cruiser. You know. Because you wouldn't really want people just randomly getting thrown into tier 10 ships. They have to play a very specific way. So, you kind of want to ease them into that. Oops, I was trying to talk to Carmen here. Let's talk with her, 'cause I don't think we've talked to her in a while. Woohoo, darling. Those sisters, Sable and Mabel, are totally 2 peas in a pod, huh? I don't know. Seems like they've got some family issues. Like a weird tension or something. I tried to think of a way to ask all sly or whatever, but I couldn't do it, Nougat. Let's go talk with the Able sisters right now. We just had an animal mention that. I need to know. I know I could just search their backstory, but... Welcome, Steven. It's Wednesday or hump day. Okay, this is just doing that again. Okay. But, also, another caveat to add with the unlocking ships every, say, 12 battles, is that it's any ship of the tier above you. And if you do not have the ships unlocked to that point, like, say, if you're using a tier 3 ship and you unlock a tier 4... You're using, say, a tier 3 British ship, and you unlock a tier 4 German. You can't use that German ship because you don't have the German ships to that point. But if you were to ever skill up through the German tree with experience or whatever, you would then be able to just purchase that German ship with just the in-game silver. That is another caveat I would add. If you still have it, all unlocking them would be to physically unlock the ship for purchase. That way, they're not also just being given these ships. You actually have to still purchase them with in-game currency. But that would heavily reduce the grind of World of Warships. And when I say grind, I mean it. Like, today I couldn't sleep. So I spent from around noon until about 4 p.m. playing World of Warships. I fired it back up after I woke up from a nap. And after a couple more games at that point, I had finally gotten enough experience to tier from 4 to 5 in German battleships. Now, a lot of these games ended very horribly because, well, it's a team-based game, and when the team doesn't work together, you're pretty much guaranteed to lose. And I was getting really unlucky with teams. I was trying to help the team and support them and all that, but there's a fossil here. I can see it. Please tell me this wasn't here yesterday. I'm gonna feel really, well, let's say I'll feel really dumb, but I couldn't have seen that. But, like, the grind in Warships is horrendous. And I usually have people justify it to me of, well, you don't want people getting to the higher tiers that quickly. But why not? Most of these people will also turn around and say about 5 minutes later that the game doesn't even really start until tier 6 or 7. So then why should it be such a long grind to get to that point? Well, I can explain why. And it's simply because when the game first entered its early alpha and beta stages, it really didn't have that much for higher tiers. They didn't want people getting there that quickly, so they made it a really long grind. But it's, well, honestly, it's still in beta, but it's not in the early stages anymore. They don't have to do that anymore, but they still do. And it honestly makes it a bit player hating, I suppose, would be a decent way to put it. I don't know how to exactly use. I don't know what terms I would exactly want to use. Because, like, it's just not a very good system for an MMO like that. Like, and I literally just remembered its name. The sailing ship game, like World of Warships, was called Wind of Luck Arena. That game, I distinctly remember in one night going from my basic little tier 1 ship to a tier 6 ship in one night's play session. Ugh, I regret missing the morning price. I'm really gonna have to hit that morning price tomorrow. Let's buy some flowers while we're here. I'm gonna have to walk around because Nook's gonna be in the way. But, like, it was really fast to grind through until about the tier 6 range. And you could still play the lower tiers, and you would still find games because people were using the ships they liked. It wasn't so much a use the, highest tier ship because that's just where most of the player base is. It was, hey, I really like this ship. I'm gonna use it. Like, I mean, I'll admit, with World of Warships, if it wasn't so expensive and I actually had the money, I would probably buy the premium British battleship of Nelson. Because I like that class of ship. I actually think the base Nelson class isn't even exactly what I'm looking for. Because my favorite modern-ish warship is the HMS Rodney. And it's mostly just because of the stories that ship is involved with. The HMS Rodney was there for the sinking of Bismarck. It should be noted, the HMS Rodney is a I believe either late World War I or in the between period, between World War I and World War II. It was not a modern battleship. It was flat, it was fat. It was not suited to be there. It was leaking, its boilers were overheating. The ship stood a pretty good chance of incapacitating itself every time it fired its guns. But it had the biggest guns in the Royal Navy. Its guns were actually an inch bigger than Bismarck's, because it was built before a time when there were restrictions on gun sizes. And I'm actually going to plant the flowers down here today, because I completely forgot to plant them, and then I came down here. So we're going to plant them down here today. Just how this works. And I think with this, it's going to fill up all the spaces around us, so we're just going to step over here. Well, yeah, I shouldn't put one directly behind a tree. Put it right here. There we go. Like, I really like the Rodney. I also just like how it's designed, because it's a weird design. Most battleships, from what I have seen, follow one of two patterns. They'll either have nose and tail guns, or nose and aft, I suppose it would be, or they follow old ship combat rules of broadside positions. All of their turrets will be able to be positioned so that they can fully broadside a target with every one of their guns. Because that's just how old ships worked, so that's how a lot of naval combat still worked in design. Hey, Amelia. Hey, kiddo. There's something I want to ask you, Woomy. If I told you I had a Jamon pottery right now, how much would you pay for it? I don't know what that is. I see. Well, that sounds about right. Glad I got your opinion about that. Thanks, Woomy. I don't even know what that is. That looks like just a regular cricket. We already have that. I don't know exactly what to do. I am kind of cutting it close on when I'm recording. People are probably going to be waking up soon, so I might cut the episode a little short. But I suppose I should finish fleshing out my idea for warships, as much as it'll never get picked up and used. But, especially because if they were to pick up this idea and use it, I could sue them over it, unless they got my express permission to do it. So, literally, by me mentioning this, it'll basically guarantee it's almost never going to happen. Well, I suppose I'm not suggesting this on an official form, so I wouldn't be able to prove in court that they watched my video, and yeah, okay, so this might still happen. Basically, with the unlocking of ships, I would have it so that, say, if I remember right, there's 6 generic factions. That being, I'm just using cruisers as an example. So you've got the Americans, the Japanese, the Germans, the Russians, the French, and the British. So yeah, 6. So that means when you unlock a ship, in theory, you'd have a 1 in 6 chance of getting the faction you're using. I myself would cut that to be like a 1 in 3. So for instance, if you're using a British cruiser, you'd have a 1 in 3 chance of getting a tier higher British cruiser. Or more just a British ship of a tier higher, I guess. No, that would break it even more. It would have to be cruiser. But, you know, and just have it be, if you want to get into, say, the battleship line, you have to still pay the experience to get into the battleship line. that would still work, and it would maintain some of the grinding, but it wouldn't still have all of the grinding. The just horrible, horrible grinding. I'm going to make absolute sure I've watered this turnip. I'm really paranoid with red turnips. Though I do honestly hope they bring them back for the next Animal Crossing. Like, I legitimately think it could be a cool idea. It would just have to be implemented. I also really hope someone buys up Wind of Luck one of these days and relaunches the game. That would be so awesome. I'd buy it if it was something you'd have to pay for. I'd buy some I'd buy some premium stuff from it. There we go. Yeah, with that, I'd like to remind everyone that I do have a Patreon. It should be linked down below. If it isn't, shout at me in the comments. If you actually care about it. If you don't, then don't bother shouting at me. That's how this works. With that said, I thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time for more Animal Crossing City Folk. See you all then.